Hello, welcome back to my channel, Texas Gal Treasures. In today's video, I am bringing you items that are selling right now on eBay, and I have scoured through different listings trying to narrow down different things that are selling to find patterns so that when you're out thrifting, when I'm out thrifting or garage sailing, I'm looking for specific items. I wanted to share these things so that not only I could be successful when I'm going out thrifting and reselling on eBay, but also that you can as well. It is truly my goal to help you be the best reseller or make the most money in whichever way I can help you with that I can. And so knowing what's selling right now is very important. So without further ado, today I've focused on vintage metal items. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but these are vintage metal items that are selling quickly and that are selling for a good profit. I did a search on eBay for vintage metal and vintage brass items, and then I sorted the sold and completed listings by recently sold, and I also narrowed these down by things that are $25 to $150. I could have gone higher, but I wanted to stay in a general range so that I would hopefully get a good snapshot of a lot of different things that we're selling and make it a lot easier for me to see repetitions in the items that we're selling. So one of the first things I noticed that was repeating pretty frequently were brass wall hangings of birds. So I sorted this by used, US only, because that's where I am, and there were 474 listings that were up for sale in that category. And then when I look at how many sold, there were 166 that sold with that title and category. So for me to see that, when I see those two numbers close together, that lets me know that they're selling really well. You'll see on a couple of these items today that the number of available that are up for sale is smaller than the number that has sold. So you know those are things that are selling really quickly. So let's take a look at these brass birds that are selling for a pretty good profit. Some of these vintage items that you're going to see today and some of the other things I've been researching for other videos are things that I'm really happy to see getting popular again. They were popular 10, 15 years ago, and things are cycling around again so that we're going to start seeing some of the same stuff coming back and being hot again. So a lot of seagulls, but anywhere, $25 and up. These sold for $40. There were some for $28. Here are some more seagulls that sold for $35. And then it said they were pre-owned, but they look pretty new to me, but they were peacocks. I don't care if they're used. I don't care if they're new, vintage. If they sell for $54 and I can buy them at a thrift store for cheap, I'm all in. Then you see, these were all the same make of these flying ducks and geese, and they're all selling for right in that $30 realm. And if you'll notice the dates here, these are things that sold, those sold yesterday, and these sold yesterday, and this one sold today. So I'm trying to look for things that are selling now, because that's the kind of stuff that if I can see those patterns of what's selling right now, I'll know what to look for. I'll know if I have that in my inventory, I need to go list it and not wait until maybe that whatever is making this popular has passed. Another thing that I saw quite a few of were the eagles, and I didn't grab as many of them because there were a few, but there weren't as many as the seagulls and the ducks and the geese. So here, these were much larger hangings that sold for $115. As you can see, that one, it looks like it's maybe about 2.5 feet long. And here's quite a few others, again, for a really good profit. As I was looking through these things, another thing that I did see were also the brass hangings of butterflies. So this is showing the solds. So there are 345 brass wall hanging butterflies, and then there were 76 sold. So that's a pretty fair sell-through rate. I mean, I like to see those numbers closer together, but not too bad. And then these are some of the examples that were up for in that price range. There were some that were lower, but I was trying to stay in that 25 plus $30 plus price range. So these were both in the 30s. And then here's a couple more. This one sold for 35 and the other was best offer was taken on that one. It seems like the ones that are solo that are more like this is sort of a cluster, you know, on the one that sold for 24, but the ones that are standalone seem to be doing a little bit better. Another thing I noticed as I was going through the brass vintage items were wall hanging candle holders. I wanted to point out that when I was doing the search, like I know that these are called sconces, but not everybody knows that. So I tried my search both ways, and I encourage you to make sure, because initially I put brass wall hanging candle sconces and I didn't put the word holder. And when I added the word holder, my search results, I got a lot more. And if you think about it, perhaps somebody who is a lay person doesn't know that it's called a sconce and they just want that candle thing that holds the candle on the wall, right? And so they're going to put candle holder. So make sure that you're thinking about what your buyer is going to type in. They may not know some of the more technical terms for some of the items that we're listing. So this is sold listings for 102 items, and there were 585 that were up for sale. Here are some of the examples, and I actually have a set that looks very similar to the one, the two with the long spindles. So those sold for $26.99. A couple of these others, $30, $40 range. Funnily enough, I've been picking some of these up before this because I wanted to use them in my house. I even bought some of those fakey flameless candles to use in them, but now I'm thinking, I might need to list them because some of them are selling for quite a bit. This one sold for $16, which, you know, it's okay. And then $149 best offer taken. And then these sold for $189. Here's a couple more, $150 and $40. These, I'm noticing again that Hollywood Regency is coming back in some of the other items that I was looking at. This was something that was in style for a while, and then I don't know if it was the Marie Kondo thing or what, where people were just like becoming minimalist and everything was sort of beige, and I don't know. But now some of this more opulent, I'm noticing a lot more of the vintage items are coming back into fashion. So yay, I love it. So these are Hollywood Regency, those shells that sold for $68. And then these popped up. So I went ahead and grabbed them. It says they're hanging sconces, maybe because they've got a little hook to hang them on the wall when you're not using them. These sold for $41. And I've been picking up candlesticks and stuff for myself. So maybe it's in the air that people are buying these again. And then these sold for $40. I grabbed quite a few, clearly. So more, but you get the idea. So it seems like, I mean, here, these clam ones, they didn't put Hollywood Regency, but it's the same exact ones. They sold for $60. And then these brass ship wheel candle holders sold for $35. The next thing, I forgot to grab the data on these, were the bells, like the shopkeeper bells. I kept noticing these bells as I was doing this search as well. So ones that you might hang on the wall or hang on a door. So these brass shopkeeper bells have been selling really well lately. You can see the dates there, January 15th, January 13th, that one's December 29th. So $40. And keep in mind, I put a range on this, so there might have been more in a lower price range as well. And then here's a couple others that sold, $69, $27. And this looks like, it says an entry shopkeeper bell, but to me that looks more like an outdoor bell, sold for $20. Now, the next thing I was looking at were brass figurines, vintage brass figurines. And I wanted to try to narrow it down, but at the same time also show you a wider selection. So while this says there are 10,000 plus items for brass figurines that are vintage, there were 1,900 of ones that were sold. So that's a pretty wide margin, but when you start looking at it in that way, you can start seeing the patterns of like which animals are selling for more and which styles are selling for more. So while that seems like a big swath of solds, it's definitely worth doing it that way and then narrowing your focus from there. So what I was seeing were these were sharks, underwater type stuff like this seahorse, and then more unique ones, because I did see like some of the rabbits and the mice and the little cutesy woodland animals were not selling for as much as before. Like woodland animals used to be all the rage, right? The owls and the fox and well, this is actually a fox, so I take that one back because that one sold for $60. But here, more unique, we've got a manatee, and then this is maybe like a reindeer or some kind of, I did notice a lot of deer. It's almost like that Hollywood Regency style coming back again because they liked those sleek deer and like some more sleek animals. So $75, $89, and then like the cranes, like this type of crane could also be considered, mid-century modern or Hollywood Regency, that kind of skirts both of those boundaries. They were really shined up, especially Canon, and then this eagle for $30. This was another one I saw a couple of this fox that's holding the card holder. And then again, the cranes and these geese or swans, they're more sleek type animals versus the woodland cutesy animals, if that makes sense. And so here's another example of the deer, like kind of the majestic deer. These sold for $120, and then this really cool bison sold for $175. Here were a couple more. These were quite a bit taller, and they were 14 inches. If I saw them, I'd grab them too. $130, $145. So maybe we're getting away from the cutesy and more into like the elegant. Maybe. But then some of I don't know, maybe it just depends on your style, because I did see later, I have some things that I'm going to share with some other vintage items that are more like, not the cute kitschy, but some of the kitsch, right? So the next metal item is VintageFarberware Magnalite. This is one of those where there were more sold than there were available for sale. So what does that tell you? They're selling, and they're selling through pretty quickly. So these are sold, so over 1,800 solds, and there are only 313 results for that same search available for sale. So those are selling pretty quickly. So what does this look like? This is it. VintageFarberware. This is the Magnalite Dutch oven, the roasting pan. So if you're seeing these out, definitely pick them up. Wanted to show you some more examples. This was the skillet with a spout, not sprout, and another Dutch oven. So $129, $80. Couple other here, roaster and the Dutch oven. I don't know if that's just the lid on this one because it's $32. So I'm wondering if it's just the lid. And then same thing here, just one of the skillets and another roasting pan. But you can see on the bottom it says Magnalite, Wagner. So it should be pretty easy to identify if you see them out. Couple others just to show you. This one's all shined up. It sold for $350, and look at that shipping, $64 shipping. I wonder where it went. Curious. The next metal item is another kitchenware item. It's vintage Reselling. When I think about this, my grandmother had some of this, and oh gosh, I wish I knew where it was. So again, over 3,000. These are the sold listings, and I selected, pre-owned and all of that, and there were 5,000 that are up for sale. So to me, 5,000 for sale, 3,000 sold. That's pretty close. I mean, it's still a lot of items, but I'd rather see something that close like that than 100 sold and there's 500 or 5,000 up for sale. So the Reselling, I see this out and about, but I don't pick up a whole lot of pans, but now this is something I'm definitely going to look at. I actually think I have one of these pots in my kitchen, like a small one, but I really like it, so I don't think I'm going to sell it. It has that copper bottom, right? So here you can see some more Reselling. That copper bottom on that is really going to stand out for you. So if you see that, then it's something to flip it over, make sure, see if it's vintage Reselling. Here's a couple more, $26, $35. They're kind of in that range, anywhere from like $30 on up. And then another one, another pots and pans. This one, and then the Magnalites. Is that what I feel like I'm saying it wrong? This is Vintage Club aluminum cookware. There were 1,900 up for sale and 1,000 plus that have sold. So again, that number's really close. I like that. And it looks very similar to the other. This one is the aluminum ware. This one sold for $50, $32 on this one. And then they have this enamel one, these enamel ones as well. They don't sell for quite as much. This one's for 30, this one's 35. But still, if I'm finding these, I'm going to take a second look at them. If I can pick this up for a couple dollars at a thrift store or a garage sale, then it's something I know that I can sell for a good profit. So we're staying in the kitchen. The next item that I noticed was selling pretty regularly and a really cool, fun item to pick up. I probably would, if I saw it, would pick it up, is a vintage metal bread box. Now there are a variety of different styles. So let's take a look. There are 246 sold on this and only 492 listings. So that lets me know that people are buying them and they're looking for them. So if you see any of these or you have any of these in your stock that hasn't been listed yet, then it may be time to get these up. So here is this Specco avocado green one with the drawers. That's pretty cool. And then a metal box pie bread safe. The ones like this in the middle here, I see those out and I never think to pick them up. So that one sold for $25. They may not sell for as much as some of the more vintage, unique styles, but here it is again, $19.60. And then I have seen these like tall that would hold like a loaf of bread in them, like so. And I noticed a couple of those on this as well. So here you can see bread boxes, $40, $40. See, look, this one, $48. Here's another one in that same style, $30. Same style, $45, $47.99. So I'm seeing that like tin style with the like maybe hinged lid that, you know, is kind of cutesy with the, what era is that? That's sort of the, I mean, it says 50s, but maybe like late 40s, early 50s. So definitely keep an eye out for those as well. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe because I've got more videos just like this focusing on what's selling right now and really honing it down into specific categories so that when you're out thrifting or at garage sales, you're able to really focus in on items that you know are selling right now. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.